is important, but if you believe in something strongly, I don't feel like you should have to cave to keep a job.
Amen. That is a former employee at the Mayo Clinic. Worked there for 14 years. She was among the 700 recently fired because she defied the Mayo Clinic's vaccine mandate. The activities that we've seen in healthcare in particular have proven to be masochistic. Here we have an incredible shortage of healthcare workers that extended long before the pandemic. And what do? They turn around in the name of the mandate and they begin firing large swaths of people to exacerbate an already difficult situation. And you add into it what we've seen play out this week that is now before in real time the United States Supreme Court with these vaccine mandates, one that pertains to healthcare providers that accept government funds, the other to private employers with 100 or more employees. This has been an undertold story during the course of this week. The OSHA rule went into effect officially on Tuesday. So it has been a hot mess in corporate America, and even with just smaller companies that might eke over 100 employees as they are wrangling with how to deal with this because the United States Supreme Court, for whatever reason, decided, we'll wait until Friday to get around to that emergency hearing, which I think it was done out of convenience and maybe vacation schedules because their regular session starts on Monday. But nevertheless, I mean, the challenges with all of this, something that Paul Seegert, managing partner at PCS Advisors, is taking a look at. Morning, Paul.
Good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, doing all right. I mean, it is a mess out there. We're talking about all this vax mandate stuff. Kind of walk us through what you're taking a look at here.
Well, the Mayo Clinic's laid off about 1% or fired 1% of their workforce. And to me, it's a real head scratcher. And those numbers don't really tell the whole story. We've had lots of CEOs of health systems and other employer groups come out that maybe are in different industries come out and say, hey, the vast majority of our people did comply. That doesn't really take into account the people that left in advance and the staffing shortage that you already mentioned. I mean, we've got 500,000 nurses are leaving the workforce, and we're on track to have a shortage nationally of over 1 million nurses. And so that's an important part of the story. And you got health systems now that are even allowing nurses and other workers to work in their facility if they're vaccinated and COVID positive, so long as they wear a mask.
You know,
if
Paul,
you're unvaccinated, they're firing you.
I was going to bring that up. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, of all things we've seen this week, we've seen that where, COVID positive, but vaccinated. Yes, you can help people, but by God, you haven't had a COVID vax. You aren't allowed to work here at all. I mean, there really isn't at a certain level logic behind this, is it? It really is more about kind of a militant approach and maybe in some cases fear of loss of funds from the federal government, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still, to me, another amazing part of this story that we've been dealing with through the whole pandemic kind of uniquely in our country is that we still don't seem to recognize, even though there's more than 90 studies that confirm it, that there is such a thing as natural immunity. And you have to believe many of these workers who are being fired would have that, having been exposed to it on the front lines for the last couple of years. So that, to me, is also pretty amazing.
Yeah, and then, to your point, Paul, it's why in the state of Florida we passed our own laws. And among those laws are two things. And you bring up the point about natural immunity, something that even many Floridians may not be aware of because our news media didn't cover it in a robust way, is that in addition to it being illegal for any vaccine mandate to exist without numerous opt-out options, there also, including testing at the company's expense, there also is a provision in our state law that ends up treating natural immunity on legal par with vaccination. And we haven't seen that anywhere else, best that I'm aware of. Have you seen, am I missing that? Have other states adopted something with natural immunity?
No, you're not missing it. It's really been shoved out of the conversation. There have been some Kettering Health in Ohio before the OSHA mandate, which I think unfortunately stops this trend because of all the confusion that brought about. But prior to the OSHA mandate being announced, Kettering Health in Ohio was accepting antibody tests as an exemption. So they would allow you to continue to work if you'd had COVID and recovered, so long as you produced an antibody test, and then they just asked that you got tested on a regular basis to confirm that you still had that immunity.
Paul, how important?
That was very sensible.
How important do you think it is the Supreme Court come out with a swift ruling here on these cases?
It's incredibly important. We've had so much confusion, which is not what employers need with everything else they're already dealing with. 85% of employers, before the mandate was announced, the OSHA path, said they were going to have some sort of policy in by the end of 2021. And then when that came out and then took all the time to get interpreted, they largely put that on hold. And so now you have only 18% that have something in place. They're scrambling now and waiting largely. Another 7 say they'll do something no matter what. And the rest are either not planning to do it now because they are seeing it as divisive, or are only going to do it if the mandate survives what's happening in the court today.
Paul, it's a good update. I appreciate you taking the time to share the info.
Have a great day.
Paul Seegert, Managing Partner, PCS Advisors.